political matrix? What are the things that will be shaping the political arena? And the balances, who will be having their realignments, and the talks, and even in confidence will be many, if you know what I'm talking about. Friends will be having tea, and conversations will be happening left, right, and center. Of course, the president is also seeking a re-election. That is also forming part of the matrix, and not forgetting the opposition, which is also putting the best foot forward to ensure that they clinch the next government. Those are some of the things, and what will be contributing to that. My discussion will be based on that, and I want you to talk to me, or you can send us a WhatsApp message. Talk to us. What do you think will be the next political matrix? 0707, that is 303212. That is 0707 303212. Send us a message on WhatsApp and talk to us. My guest already in studio. I have Honorable James Gakuya, who is representing the good people of Embakasi North, as well as Mheshimiwa George Kithi, an advocate of the High Court. He also has so many hats he's wearing, though he doesn't have a hat today, apart from Mheshimiwa Gakuya. Yes. George Kithi, good morning.
Good morning.
You're well? Mheshimiwa Gakuya, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Asante sana.
Shukran.
Okay. Okay, let me start with the front page of the local dailies. Maybe you can take for me the front page of the Standard.
Thank you.
Pun intended. Pun intended.
I know.
Okay, so let me take the first page of the Daily Nation. First, let me go. Poison Love Gang, and Mheshimiwa, if you have the Star, you'll take for me the front page of the Star. We'll do it together. Okay, let me start with the Daily Nation. The Daily Nation says that Poison Love Gang on the run. It's a deadly trio. Police believe that the gang of three could be behind more drink lacing cases. There's a gang of three people who are actually lacing their victims with the drugs and thereafter robbing them of their properties. Goons take over evictions and auction. Remember, even yesterday, President talked about that the culture of goonism should stop forthwith. That is what's on the front page of the Daily Nation. And here, another story that is worth taking a look at is Ruto's U-turn on varsity funding model. We've just listened to that story a while ago, where President William Ruto has considered the higher education funding model that he introduced in 2022, which pegs state funding for students on a family's financial background, has not lived up to expectation. He has also promised changes to the law for all university students to get full government funding. But if a parent is willing and able to pay, then there is no problem. With relations to that, finally, why teachers are unhappy with the 8 billion shillings pay increase. Reason is tutors have accused their union leaders of accepting a raw deal from government after many of them found that their long-awaited salary increment ranged from 693 shillings to slightly above 2,000 shillings. The revised pay structure took effect on July 1st, 2026. That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. Wakile, what do you have on the Standard?
Oh, good. From the Standard, the front page, the title is Boycott.
Yes.
Let me read this because it's very interesting.
Right.
Julius Caesar divorced his wife, Pompey, not because her adultery had been proved, but because even the slightest suspicion was intolerable. Caesar's wife must be above suspicion, has since become the benchmark of those entrusted with public office, and judges are no exception. The authority rests only on the law, not only on the law, but also on the confidence the public places in the integrity. That is why the battle over Chief Justice Martha Koome, 4 Supreme Court judges and 6 other judicial officers, has become so explosive. Accused by lawyers, ourselves, of using court orders to shield themselves from scrutiny, the judges have chosen to fight for their positions in court. In doing so, they risk appearing no different from common charlatans and chicken thieves, clutching at every legal lifeline to avoid accountability, thereby eroding the public confidence on which the judiciary ultimate depends. Interesting, right?
Interesting. The Caesar's wife, right? This
yes.
Caesar's wife.
Yes, Yes,
she was divorced not because, but just by the mere
suspicion. Mere suspicion.
That was just enough for her to get a divorce.
Yes.
You'll tell us why that boycott is there. You'll explain to us in details. Okay, Mheshimiwa, the Star, what do you have on the front page of the Star? Yeah, yes, the Star.
Yeah, here the Star talks about the camping. This is Weta's brother team, Wagamati or Munyenyi before the camp. Big Wigs jumped to Sifuna's camp as Western readies for homecoming. That's a big headline.
There's a big headline.
That's a big headline. But down there we have Ruto announces full state funding for varsity colleges students.
Yes.
And finally, why a needs is growing in Mount Kenya East. Yeah.
Very good. That is part of, thank you gentlemen for that. So let me start with the front page of the Standard, where, Mheshimiwa Wakili. Why is Caesar's wife being divorced?
Well, integrity comes with responsibility, and responsibility comes with integrity. When you take such positions, you set out a certain standard, and it removes you from the commonality of the responsibilities that would actually will abound as and when you didn't take that position. So when we look at our Constitution, Article 10, and the principles relational to public service, they are state office and public officers as characterized, but they are bound by oath of office and are bound by those responsibilities set out in the Constitution. One of it that stands out is integrity. So a question that, or any intuition as to question one's responsibility introduces a chapter for investigation, but more importantly, clarification as to whether that integrity shield has been punctured or not. That is why relational to what we always call Caesar's wife must be above suspicion to the judges. It's an office that beholds to what we call the bungalow principles, upon which integrity is the highest call for a person sitting on the bench.
Yes.
When there is that suspicion, then that person does not measure in the context of the bungalow principles and does not measure to the clarion call easily put as Caesar's wife responsibility, meaning above any suspicion whatsoever. Now remember that everybody has a right to defend himself or herself on account of any suspicion or any public odium as to the responsibility on integrity. That's why the Standard says here that you're not a common charlatan or a chicken thief. You are a person that has been appointed to a certain position, elevated by the people, and there's a call to integrity at the highest point in the country, in the public office you hold. So that's why, therefore, that there is then the call to integrity and the domain up to investigation to confirm whether that integrity has been compromised or not. Getting court orders, as has been substantiated, and why we probably are up in arms, are getting court orders against investigation in the context of the calling, then becomes or suffices to question in the highest that we are doing now, being that we shall not appear until that has been dispensed with.
Okay, so in black and white, why are the lawyers boycotting court session today? Because
those that we boycott to appear before them have used their positions to shield themselves from public scrutiny in the context of integrity.
Okay.
Let me put it the other way, that as a judge, working as a judge, you get an order from a colleague not to be investigated is the context. As simple as that. Meaning, therefore, there's a possibility of abusing the office, the powers in the context of the office that you hold, for purpose of shielding yourself when the scrutiny is on integrity. We would rather integrity is upheld after investigation, other than shielding the investigation themselves. Even if they were malicious, they will still be. They still have to go.
So
to
for how long is it going to continue, the boycott?
For as long as integrity is compromised.
All right.
For as long as integrity is threatened.
Not there is some underlying case somewhere apart from the boycott and the integrity issue?
Well, you see, this is systemic. It is not an incident. It means there has been the first complaint, the second complaint, the third complaint, and when these things come out, there's a persistent, consistent, insistent, continuous protection of the office holder from scrutiny through court orders. We know as lawyers that people have to go to court as if there's abuse of power in the context of the criminal justice process. But that, for purposes of the person who sits in the privilege, should not be available to that person.
That is the Chief Justice.
Yes, in the context of how these things have panned out to date.
Okay.
And we are saying it's not an incident. We've watched and watched and watched until a time when we will boycott. It is because there's been persistence on the same.
All right. Great. Okay, Mheshimiwa, let me come back to you. You read something on the front page of the Star newspaper. There is an ease, why unease is growing in Mount Kenya East. And this is part of our discussion, the 2027 political matrix, and many things that, the pillars that is going to be defining that. Mheshimiwa Francis Mwangangi, Mheshimiwa, thank you so much for joining us. He's the Deputy Governor of Machakos County. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Karibu, karibu. So the political matrix that is here, why is it there is an ease in Mount Kenya East, and yet there has been that call that there should be some divorce? Not with the Caesar's wife, as Wakili would put it, but the two sides of Mount Kenya.
Thank you, Victor. Allow me to salute viewers wherever they are watching this morning show. And coming to the matter, unease growing in Mount Kenya East, we have this clamor for about a year or two, and the clamor is to separate Mount Kenya East and West. A clamor that has emanated from the ruling. But as of the latest comments made by the second in command are totally against those who have that wishful thinking of that Mount Kenya can be separable. And what I would say is that all these are culminated from what we call political rearrangements. You are aware that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya comes from Mount Kenya East. And we have Gachagua, who seems now to have taken control of Mount Kenya West. And in this case, team headed by one CS Loco is vigorously campaigning for separation of the two because of what we call political balancing.
Yes.
But as much as unease is growing, it seems it is not supported wholly by the political wing. And I think by the last water down by the second in command, it means that particular idea has to come to die.
Yes.
And there is nobody in Mount Kenya region who is a voter in the Mount Kenya region who can buy this particular idea. This idea is an idea where it seems is an idea of few who would like to use this particular methodology to see whether they can be able to garner enough for William Ruto in his election. But don't forget that, in fact, there's no difference between Mount Kenya East and West because these are sisters and brothers, and they are inseparable. But politicians can be able to can cook this, but in the actual, it's not possible.
It's not possible.
And I can tell you for sure, it is not going to be possible. There is also there was also a clamor that Kiambu can be separated from Mount Kenya West to Rift Valley, which is not possible. Because remember,
who started that conversation?
It was there. It was there. And
to
remember,
pick Kiambu and take it to Rift Valley?
Of course. The proposal was there.
Okay.
Handed by one member for Kikuyu and others. But it's a proposal that can just die on arrival. Because public, first and foremost, you cannot move to separate any, either East or Kiambu. Because you have, first of all, to add that to the Constitution, where there has to be public participation. And the people has to give approval to such a decision. And therefore, I would say it's an idea which is a dead idea. I don't think that even separating them is an issue. Because if we want to campaign, just go and campaign the way it is.
Yeah.
Because if one is willing to vote for you, he will vote you whether there is a barrier or not. And in this case, I would say those who are agitating for that proposal can't see the light of the day.
Okay. Mheshimiwa Mwangangi, good morning once again.
Good morning.
Based on what we've had, the easing is growing in Mount Kenya, and there is that call for brothers, sisters, and cousins. You've heard of that word, right? What do you make of this? Because it's going to it's going to shape how election is going to be in the next couple of months.
It's just national political games, simply put. But allow me first, I comment on what is happening because it is actually a it is a matter of national concern. The issue of boycotting of our courts. I think I commend the lawyers in this country because we have a government that believes it is either their way or no way at all. The number of court orders that have been defied by the current administration have set stage to what is happening today. I've heard the president of LSK speak yesterday, and I was listening as I was coming. And I will tell you, it is not only in the judiciary. It is the issue of institutionalism and the current Kenya Kwanza administration are things that, in my view, will lead this country by and large to what in international relations they call anarchy, where people believe on anything, whether it is legal or not legal. They decide to do their own, and they don't seem to subscribe to any form of authority. That is where this administration is taking us. Coming back to the issue of Mount Kenya politics, Mount Kenya is gone for this government. The likes of Ruku wait after next year. They can try, and I'm sure they are being pushed. You know, he has to make news everywhere, trying to show his masters in the house of the in the hill that he is doing something. They're trying to separate Kiambu, men have tried it before. He needs to be a good history student. The men have tried, and they have sunk. They have failed miserably. I will tell you, Kenya is united. It is only in Mount Kenya. The politics of dividing this section, this other one, this way, is that Kenyans will sort it out next year. The time has come. It is not the time people are singing. You, by virtue of your work, Victor, and the rest, I want to invite you to Mount Kenya. Go to Kiambu, start here in Kikuyu. Move all the way to what is west, to what is east, to what is south. People are united. Kenyans are united. Let me tell you. Today, I wish Commissioner, although I think he could not have come because I think he got appointed this week. I wish he was here.
Yesterday.
I've just passed by his place.
Yes.
The song is one time, and that is at the center of the Rift Valley. I can tell you, there is a wave of change, and these people, the current leaders in this country, the owners of goons, I will tell you, they are not seeing it. They will see when they will be told, you are supposed now to be preparing to hand over.
Who are the owners of the goods?
The states.
You know, what we have in Kenya today is state-supported, state-sponsored goonism. I can tell you. And let me impute my hypothesis. Because we have millions watching us. The start of the goods started when we saw in Nairobi people walking alongside security engines. The point man of this administration in Luo Nyanza, we know is PS Omolo in the office of the president. We know whenever he is around, you see what happens. And this started like a joke. It is continued by targeting people who seems to be opposing this administration. Their rallies being interfered or dispersed. When you see government-supported rallies, political gatherings, they are well guarded. What do you call that? Meaning, we saw also what happened in Olkarau. You want to tell me the intelligence of this country is totally dead? They cannot, they have the capacity to know when I'm tweeting, when I'm communicating in social media with James here or the good lawyer here, and they come for me in the form of abduction, but they cannot suspect a criminal gang moving from point A to B and stop it before they do what they want to do. And I will tell you, the effects of what this administration is doing or not doing, they will see it.
Okay.
Because Kenyans have an opportunity to sort it out next year.
Okay. So, Wakili, you've heard that. He said that when he talked about the boycott, he's supporting the lawyers in a way or not. But there's a way he put it.
Yes.
There's a way he put it. But let me also come back to this story of Unease the Mountain, because this is one of the things that is going to actually form the next government, the campaign and all that, and it's already there.
Yep.
This one comes from what just happened over last week, the Mount Kenya, the Oloo by-election.
Yep. And
that again calls for Rigathi Gachagua effect in the mountain. The call for separation between East and West.
Yep.
You know, the new entrants, that the DCP, UDA did not perform well in the by-election, and the ruling coalition then, which was actually taken by the late Kiaraho, was Jubilee, did not perform well as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things happening here, Mount Kenya and East.
It's politics. The advent of politics subdues logic, reason, and it's an uprising of emotions. Let me explain it this way. And probably I need to repeat this for context purposes, that the Kenyan voter is different from the ordinary Kenyan. And let me emphasize why I'm saying that. That an ordinary Kenyan would apply logic in the context of what is right and wrong, and probably through talk and action, uphold the intention to hold accountable leadership and the rule of law. And therefore, it is an equilibrium that sets apart the good and the bad at that context.
Yes.
And therefore, you would probably bring out what is obviously right and what is wrong more easily in the context. In an election, especially with the Kenyan experience of elections, is that the Kenyan voter transforms to an emotional person as against or for the context. For instance, a voter would, and as a matter of right, vote not necessarily for good leadership and rule of law. The Kenyan voter elevates the interest. And contextually, therefore, democracy elevates interest so that the person then has to bias himself or herself for or against a person for there to be an election. So division is part of democracy. Without division, we won't have a result. So there must be setting apart of people so that one can win and one can lose. And that's the calling of democracy. For every cycle of 5 years, people must be able to have a bias for or against someone so that there's an election. There's a president, there's a governor, and there's a member of parliament for representation purposes. That's how democracy is fashioned. So that is, democracy may not be an ideal itself, because then it may not bring the best out of the most, of the available choices. But it will bring the person who garners more numbers when pronounced as such.
Yes.
Now, when you come to why there could be talks of division of societies and communities, such as Mount Kenya, it is in the same context of democracy, and towards an election, the divisions are going to, the fissures in society are going to be immediate. Now, there'll be different reasons why there'll be divisions in society. It could be religious, it could be ethnic, it could be in context of families. For instance, Wetangula and his brother are probably moving to different, setting apart in different contexts of the political divide. And therefore, and I think that's democracy. It should be available. It should be available and commendable for democracy to have divisions and fissures in society, but the elasticity of that pull apart should be such that then eventually society can come together after the election, so that then we can continue to build.
So it's okay for the separation.
It is very okay for society. In fact, it's a calling of democracy that we must set apart. The competitive, the competitive aspect is that which set apart as a group with different interests coming together, that should be able to be the ones pronouncing themselves as majoritarian to be able to win in an election.
We take a break, then we continue the conversation.
Thank you.
Okay, stay with us. You can talk to us on 0707 30 32 12. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Talk to us on 0707 30 32 12. The number is on your screen there. Still with Honorable James Gakuya, MP, Embakasi North. Of course, Honorable Francis Mwangangi, Deputy Governor, Machakos County, and Wakili George Kithi, who is an advocate of the High Court. The three gentlemen are here with me. So, Mheshimiwa Gakuya, let me just go about the question on the regional balance. The regional balance is also going to play a very key role when it comes to 2027. And it's been there. Is it going to be different, or the same monkey, same forest, you know?
Victor, because you are not new in Kenya politics.
No.
There is nothing much you are going to see even at the tail end of the next year's general election. Because you cannot expect a new player in this field. If there will be a president, it must be amongst already those who are already floated themselves.
Yes.
So we are not here to expect that we are going to have a very fresh contender who will come from nowhere. Otherwise, we are expecting that Kalonzo will take the ship. If not Kalonzo, we have the team that is around united opposition. Finally, I'm sure that there will be a mechanism for them to come up with one candidate. If not, then vis-a-vis the sitting president, who is William Ruto. And in William Ruto's camp, this element of broad-based is where he's now clinging on, because you have seen the statement made by Oloo that tells you, and it tells William Ruto goodbye. If you expect that money or goodies will change our hearts, it's not going to be possible. And therefore, here, count us out of your matrix. And it therefore tells you, do you think that William is going to find a new base out of this region? He will just move to solidify, to fight for trying to solidify the broad-based area that is Nyanza and Western. Those two and Coast too. But remember, we have Sifuna, who has now also grown politically and who is also gaining a lot, who will substitute the base that was carried by Raila Odinga in Western, on it almost, if not Hure, of a three-quarter of Raila supporters will go. And therefore, William cannot think that actually he's going to salvage Western in Hure at all. In this matrix, if in the case Sifuna probably will get a calotte over deputy president in the matrix of the united opposition. That tells you, if William Ruto is going to still have a running mate who is Kidiki, then Sifuna will be having an upper hand in Western, because he's carrying a mantle that Western has never got. This is deputy president. It was once for a month or 2 months held by Musalia Mudavadi, but that was for a very short time. But this, remember, communities also be asking themselves, what are we getting in that particular arrangement of that united opposition? And therefore, the game here, if it is positions, the positions that is the hanging carrot is only the deputy president's carrot. William has a big battle, because if he takes this to Western, then he will be having a serious battle in Nyanza, because Nyanza will be saying, yes, we have just come to assist you in this game of road-based, and we have already telling you the least we can get is this deputy president. So it will be very hard for him to substitute from this particular position from Mount Kenya to either Nyanza or Western. And therefore, if Sifuna gets there as a running mate of anybody who will be fronted by the united opposition, then the likelihood is that Western almost 3/4 is gone. Gone
to Sifuna?
To Sifuna.
Okay.
And when you come now to Nyanza, still remember, we have a strong, very strong young tax like Babu Owino and others, who still, and also equally Sifuna himself, we have seen in terms of support, the Nyanza, nobody can start to say that it is gone to William. This you'll be misleading yourself. It tells you Nyanza, over 50%, still will move to opposition. And therefore, William will be left with very few choices to make. Because even though he depends on what we call the cost will also be at an area where a battle that where Sifuna still have backing through that inheritance of Laila basis. So it is not be a very simple battle in 2027. And this element of Orkarao judgment, that statement has gone across the country. And most of those regions that are purported to be regions that can lie into opposition, I don't think that these are going to be easy.
I'll ask you which statement is that we are talking about, because it must be a very loud statement that is going throughout the regions. But Mheshimiwa, I'm not hearing the name of Kalonzo Musyoka from his matrix.
In terms of?
The regional balance? He's talked about Sifuna.
Carozo is at the top gear, is a top notch, because if not, Gachagua, it will be Carozo.
Okay.
That's obvious.
The regional balance game here, and he's given his analysis very well.
Let me tell you something. We used to say African politics is about communities and the regionalism. Then Raila, the late Prime Minister, our leader, because we supported him wholeheartedly close to over 20 years. And the fourth President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, somebody created a perception, I don't know whether it was a perception or it was true, that the then Deputy President was being mistreated. So the issue of regionalism, the issue of this community and that community seemed not to play a major role in last year's election, because of the perceived, whether true or not true, perceived mistreatment of the then Deputy President, the current head of state. And so many people from across the Republic voted for him out of that sympathy. But upon getting to power, you know, Kenyans expected a different shift on how politics will be played going forward. Because here we had somebody who seemed to be young, highly educated, and somebody who was visionary, because he managed to outwit a prime minister and a former vice president and even a sitting president to become president. So that issue, the influence of regionalism and this community, that community seemed not to play a key role that time, last election. But going forward,
it was the rallying call was the dynasty versus the
Aslas.
Exactly.
But then, just as usual, you know, I don't know whether is this administration being clever or what. Since then, because we have brought it, the ASLA is never an issue today. Even the ASLA fund, they brought it and they eat the money, the billions that was there, and it died. It was thrown away. They even introduced funding, higher education funding model, which they have now since thrown away and introduced something else to entice Kenyan voters ahead of next year's election. Which I will say, going back to the agenda of regionalism and the communities, it is true. African politics, although that idea went down during the campaigns of last year, I will tell you it is key and major. Victor, to elaborate what I'm saying to viewers is, I cannot come to your house and pretend to be the husband to your wife and the father of your kids. They know who their father is, those kids. They know who the husband to their mother is. You can't do that. And that is the concept that plays a lot of role in African politics, Kenya included. So as I sit here, we must start somewhere. If you come to Kambani, if you go through the window and you don't come through His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, you will find yourself alienated because the people know who their leader is. Before Kenya came to know Kalonzo Musyoka, we knew him as our leader and we pushed him to national stage.
Yes.
Okay? So I always say, and I will repeat in this program, strong communities, strong societies, cohesive ones will form a strong, cohesive nation. We need not to be so much negative about this. I know our constitution, and lawyer Kithi will agree with me that our constitution talks about, and it is very strong on this, on regional balancing. But that, as it might be, politics is different.
Yes.
Because it is a way of getting the leadership of this country to the national stage.
Okay, what about the broad-based card? How is it going to influence the next election?
Let's put it this way, and probably picking from what my good friend has said, regionalism and ethnicization of politics is probably the greatest division that we practice in Kenya in our politics. So politics get localized at the moment of decision making, and therefore the mental psyche retreats, the general national mental psyche retreats to the local, so that influences the entire public domain. So the dominion in politics and how to conquer politics revolves around one, ethnicization, and building blocks around the ethnic groups, so as us to get, like I've said, a majoritarian movement towards which then a person can be elected. And this is a dominant tactic that has been used over time, building blocks called coalitions for purposes then of creating the dominion for electability. Now, the broad-based concept brings political parties to one basket for purpose of harnessing that majoritarian approach. However, the reason why we allowed coalitions and amended the Political Parties Act is exactly that political parties are ethnic based, or they have an aspect of ethnic dominance within their recruitment. So that the membership is dominantly from a certain ethnic group,
yes,
and therefore giving political parties a certain identity, an ethnic identity to it. And if you look at the political parties, they form an ethnic identity towards which then, as they come to the table of coalition, they represent a certain ethnic background.
Yes.
And therefore, even as we speak about the ethnic merger or fissures, we speak about political parties in the context of ethnic mobilization, where political parties revolve around dominance in certain regions and ethnic groups. So if you talk of Kadwasili, you talk of DCP, you already are emerging a tribal concept within that analysis. Suffice it to say, therefore, that it is about those social groupings called ethnic groups and political parties that come together that then bring about the dominance and the pattern of numbers.
Okay.
So when we talk, as has been said by Mheshimiwa here, when he analyzes, and I don't agree with him in that context, but when he analyzes, as he has, the coastal region, western, and all that, it's in the context of ethnic building bridges to form the coalitions of ethnic groups towards which then a formidable force can come up. So it is still early in the day, but it's an emerging pattern wherewith you can work with for purposes of mobilization.
So the broad-based government has an effect?
Yes, it is, like I've said, the context of broad-based government is to bring out broad political parties that have been participating in elections before for purposes of forming a formidable force towards an election. The emerging united opposition also is bringing together a grouping of those fiefdoms of political parties for purposes of forming a coalition. That's the intention, obviously, to form a coalition to compete with the broad-based. So both of them.
But remember what Mheshimiwa Gakuya said, that even the opposition itself, even the broad-based, the perceived regions which were, dominated by ODM or the late Raila Odinga is not entirely so right now. So which means the broad-based coalition might not have it 100% block.
On the face of analysis, I think so. But look at it that way. Who, and that's the question, who has inherited the dominion of Raila Odinga as we speak? Who has inherited?
That's a question.
I think that is where the struggle is today, where broad-based is trying to, because it is at the time of his demise, he was already within the movement of broad-based. I think it's trying to hold on into that. And what the opposition is doing is to claw away what will have been the advantage from broad-based, and therefore creating numbers as will be competitive. But I think the fight here will be the dominion of Raila Odinga as was, to be able then to ride into it, which he has said is Western. He has probably talked of the coast and also Nyanza. And I think those variables will inform the movement eventually that becomes majoritarian in the next election.
So, Mheshimiwa Gakuya, you say the battle is on. Having in mind, there's also Rigathi Gachagua effect and the DCP effect. So you talked about Sifuna. I'm now bringing it together with the broad-based government and now the DCP effect.
One thing, let us all agree that if there is position to be shared, which is called itself a united opposition today, remember, they cannot approach an election on guesswork. And therefore, there will be serious sacrifice for them to win a cause. And this will force some of the big wings, Matiang'i, Gachagua, Kalonzo, the three of them. Was the reason why I'm saying the three of them is that I'm sure in their matrix, there are three major areas that they must bet on. These are Central, Kamba, and Western. Those are their three strong bases. And for them to make sure that the three bases are in their basket, then there has to be carrots to be shareable to those areas. In terms of political power sharing, in the arrangement, if they decide it is Kalonzo, then the other big question will be, where will be Gachagua and East Mount Kenya? And in this particular basket, you require Gachagua to deliver over 6 million to the basket. So where will Gachagua study? And when we also ask ourselves that question, we must also ask ourselves, where is Western standing? Because you need in your basket Western too. So that's the reason why I'm saying there has to be a sacrifice. Because nobody will just stamp that I must take this one, or I must take. But there has to be that sacrifice. At the tail end, most likely, Kalonzo might be lucky and considered probably to be the flag bearer. But as much as he will be considered the flag bearer, there has to be a serious negotiation.
Or who should be the running mate?
Who should be the running mate? And probably are they going also to elevate the position of Prime Minister? And if so, who will take it? And those three regions has to be considered for a particular portion in their matrix. From there, we have Matiang'i and Jubilee. You cannot rule out Matiang'i behind him because he also commands a big number. But there has to be, what now should you consider for Matiang'i in element of the question of Nyanza?
That is in the Gusii region.
In the Gusii region.
Okay.
So all those has to be considered, and I'm sure at the end of the day there will be a white smoke. Because if these leaders, in their mind, in back of their mind, is to defeat William, then there should be no division within them. And they should agree on how they will share their baskets of power.
Okay.
So that we can have a president, we can have a deputy, and probably we can have that proposed prime minister. And I can tell you, if in case there will be an elevation of position of prime minister, then the deputies can be considered, one to go to Kithi, and another one to go elsewhere, either coast or somewhere else.
Okay.
So those are the political balancing.
Okay.
Because in politics, number one, let us all agree that as much as there is what you call sacrifice, there is interest too. And therefore, you cannot tell me that you take the whole meat home. And I was part of the...
Of course, yes. Okay. So, Mheshimiwa,
before it comes, let me just interject and say this. Even if that analysis on theory and on paper looks formidable, to say purport plan in order to disenfranchise others so that you continue to dominate in itself is a negative that doesn't propel you into leadership. Let me put it this way. I come from the coast, and we are very bitter with some of the leadership that we've seen in the past history. So as they plan, let them know that we are aggrieving in the process, and therefore, when they come to us to be able to give us the plan, we'll definitely reject it. You cannot plan to subdue others, other communities, for purposes of ascending to power by yourself. So you can't say we are negotiating with Luyas, Kambas, and Kikuyus alone, then the others will give you the crumbs of what is befallen as opportunities that have been subdued. That's an impossibility. So, and that's the debate we're having at the coast today, that these people, who we say, over time, we have historical injustice of the leadership that has come from them.
Yes.
And we have genuine grievances, but today they're telling us, if we come into government, we are coming in a certain composition of that dominance. It instills the fear of the past and the historical injustice.
So what is the game plan from that you're having from the coast, if you're having that discussion?
The game plan is, one, to consolidate coast as a force and to negotiate on a platform of equal opportunities, not opportunities made available after the consideration that are here today. Because it's not only arrogant, it is an intention to subdue other communities so that other communities are dominant in this country. There's no equality there. It's not a discussion of equal opportunities. It's a discussion of communities coming together to subdue other opportunities, and that won't happen. Let me tell you, it is exactly the problem we've had in politics of dominion of communities against others. So we will see it as you against us instead of the intention to be inclusive. And I'll explain why. Let me explain you, for example.
Who is leading this conversation?
You can't, for instance, come to Mombasa.
Who is the forefront?
Of what?
This discussion from the coast?
No. We are the forefront, including myself. Let me explain you this. Why will somebody from Central come to Mombasa and tell us somebody who is a Somali will become your governor in Mombasa? At least, why will that be an imposition on us? And I say that with utmost respect that everyone has an opportunity everywhere, but as agreed with everyone here, politics is local, so you can't come and impose without asking us the question of responsibility of the community that you're imposing a person on. And they come to coast, they say, Mombasa, we need a certain person, or we're imposing a certain person to be your governor. I mean, it's very interesting how they are thinking and why they're not seeing that thinking has a problem and should be refined to be seen as inclusive. Okay. It's going to pose a fundamental problem to the country themselves.
The candidate proposed a coast candidate, because the candidate proposed is a sitting member of Nyari, and is Nyari not in Mombasa?
You get it wrong when you think that way. You need to be on the ground to know whether he was given the position in order to ascend into governance, to govern a position, or he was given the position in the context of the presentation and balancing and the discussion that was had then. Especially the political dominance as was that.
As you close the handle.
So think about it. Think about it. Do not say we give a deputy president or this and this probably to the coast. You can say that. That's arrogant.
My proposal is that the coast also should consolidate themselves. They also must front somebody. In the negotiation table, there has to be somebody sitting. So could somebody then be front himself to be part of the discussion?
That is the question why I've asked who is on the front line, Wakili. Yes, DJ.
See, something and for free I want to share with Kenyans. And this is politics and democracy. Wakili Kithi, I think he wants, sometimes back, before the last election, he wanted to contest somewhere. I don't know whether he did or not. And I believe he has not shelved his political ambitions. What I want to tell him is democracy is about the majority and the minority. At the world level, Mheshimiwa Gakuya talked of numbers. You must sit, plan, and see how are you going to get the numbers, okay? And that is politics. Even at world level, leave alone then at national level. You must see, I need to talk to this group, hii kikundi, hawa, nilete ndani, how do I cater for their interests? And that is the way to building a strong country at national level. I'm saying I am not a proponent of exclusion. We need not to exclude anyone. And because what we are discussing here is so critical, because if we are to change this country, if we are to stop the kind of corruption and the theft, mismanagement of the public resources, if we are to stop abduction and ensure rule of law in this country, then we must look for these numbers whichever way we get the right candidate on the seat of the power, so that through that we can change the country. The same way President Kibaki did. So in this case, this game of numbers, Mheshimiwa Wakili, sometimes you are forced to do some things. I sympathize with those who have those historical injustices of exclusion, but we have devolution.
Okay.
Actually, in this forum, we should be advocating 40% to remain at national level, 60% to go to devolution, so that all the regions in this country, they have their resources, and we will not be discussing about exclusion, this and that, but we will be talking about equality and inclusivity.
But the director says that we are actually out of time. I don't know. It's becoming, thank you, when you're almost finishing. But we have to continue the show.
Yes.
Apparently, I have to stop at that point. 1 hour is just gone like that. 1 hour is just gone like that.
That was very short. I thought you were beginning.
Well, imagine, 1 hour is just gone just like that. But I want to wish you all the best because all of you are leaders who are contesting for different positions. I want to wish you all the best because now this is it. Mheshimiwa Kithi, thanks sana for coming.
Asante sana.
Kilifi wanakutegemea, si ndio?
But of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
And Gakuya, Mheshimiwa, thank you so much. Nairobi wanakutegemea?
Nairobi lazima tujipange. Na tutajipanga tu lazima Nairobi this time round. We have to rescue it.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Francis Mwangangi.
But I will request that this particular show should be given at least 1.5 hours or 2 hours.
The director will scare you.
So that
No, the good thing you said it live on air.
Yes.
Live on air.
Yeah.
We can do a repeat. We can organize and then do a repeat. That's agreeable. All right. Thank you so much. Let's take a break. GMK continues after this.